Welcome to the Private Practice Startup Podcast, where we help ambitious private practitioners across the globe to brand themselves and grow their dream practices. We chat with successful private practitioners, business coaches, and marketing experts, bringing you tons of practice building ninja tips. Visit privatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and our signature marketing e-course. Here are your co-hosts, Dr. Kate Campbell and Katie Lemieux.
Hey, Startup Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Private Practice Startup Podcast. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. You know, Kate and I, when we first started podcasting, we would record on Fridays. And then we really didn't want to record on Fridays, but we're actually stockpiling our podcast, getting ready for Kate's maternity leave. So it kind of feels like this comfortable Friday thing going on here. So I'm enjoying it. It's a nice way to really end the week is podcasting, and it's fun. So anyways, I digress. So I hope you guys joined us last week as we spoke with Damian Adler, who is as passionate as we are, really talking about how to get unstuck working when you're working too much in your business, and how to get unstuck and work on your business to really live that dream lifestyle. The cool thing about Damian, he's actually joined us at 3:30 a.m. in Australia to make this podcast. So he's really passionate about what he speaks about. So you definitely want to join us on that podcast last week. Today's podcast is with Tara. Tara was a coachee of ours. And we're going to be talking about Tara's success story and 3 things that she learned about money and business. And it was really funny before we hit record. I was like, Tara, tell me your last name again, because I mess it up all the time. And I just realized I skipped over because I'm like, I don't remember how to say it now. So Tara, say your last name for us.
Arhakos.
Arhakos. I always want to say Arhakos. I don't know why. And I was like, I'm going to botch it if I say it. So welcome, Tara.
Thank you.
Before we dive into your podcast, though, today, I just wanted to say, if you are new to our podcast, we wanted to say thank you so much for choosing us. We really thank you from the bottom of our hearts that you would take your time and spend with us. And we really hope that you find this podcast, and not just this podcast valuable, but other podcasts. We also would really love to gift you something. We don't want anything from you. We just want to give to you. And that is our A to Z cheat sheet, the essentials for building and growing your dream practice. Head over to privatepracticestartup.com. Check out the resources tabs and resources tab, just one. And there you'll see the A to Z cheat sheet, the essentials for building and growing your dream practice. And that comes with 5 days of practice building emails to really support you. And for our loyal listeners, what's up, everybody? What's going on, Startup Nation? Welcome back. A little bit about Tara. So Tara's been in private practice longer now than she's been working in the field. Outside of the office, you'll find her lifting weights, doing yoga, hanging on the beach, or lost in a mosh pit. We're going to be talking about that for sure. Her counseling practice is built on authenticity. We can totally vouch for that, and just plain old fun. So officially welcome, Tara.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited.
It's great to have you here. Yeah, it's good to see your face. It's been a little while since we had you in our coaching. So it's great to hear your story of where you are now and how far you've come and all that good stuff.
Well, let's first talk about the mosh pit. Let's go there. Tell us.
I think it ties into the authenticity part. So I grew up as like a little punk rock kid, and I still am a concert junkie. Like, my summers are full of concerts. I actually joked that this past August was like see all the old men before they die, because I saw the Stones, Aerosmith, and Billy Idol.
That's awesome.
Other bands for the whole summer. But yeah, my friends laugh. Like, I've gone to concerts by myself that my mom actually has texted me and been like, "You're by yourself, don't go in a mosh pit." I'm like, I think I can handle myself at this point.
That is funny.
I was in a mosh pit once, and that stuff gets crazy, man. It gets really crazy. I crowd surfed, and I was in a mosh pit. And I think I was like a teenager or something, and I was a little wild, and it was like a one and done for me.
There's cool. Certain bands I won't do. I'm like, nope, not going in there.
Funny. I'm just too afraid about elbows flying and hard heads, and that freaks me out. Because I'm always the cautious one. I'm always the protector, watching out for everyone else. So yeah, I don't think I'd be in the mosh pit. But thanks for sharing that. That was awesome. Yeah. Tara, what actually got you into therapy? Like, why did you decide to become a therapist?
Oh gosh, this is like a very corny story, but it's fitting because I am corny. Long story short, I was in kindergarten, and there was this little boy that acted out who nowadays would totally be diagnosed with ADHD. The teacher used to yell at him all the time, and I didn't like yelling. So I apparently, as the story goes, I told him for every day that he didn't get in trouble, I would draw him a picture. Joke's on him. I'm a really bad artist. And, when my mom went for parent-teacher conferences, my teacher told her, your daughter's doing behavior modification with one of the students.
That is amazing.
And so, this is a good conversation in terms of how you end up where you are, because apparently it just kind of gets told to you sometimes, this is what you're going to end up doing. And lo and behold, here I am, and I can't imagine doing anything else.
I love that story. I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about like how their career started in kindergarten.
And it really just because I didn't want to hear the teacher yell.
Very interesting. Very
So
cool.
that's pretty much how that all started.
Nice.
Tell us a little bit about your journey into private practice.
So I come from a family of entrepreneurs. I grew up, we owned a video store when I was a kid. So I was working probably not ethical, a cash register, and maybe a lottery machine at the age of 8, possibly 6. But everybody has always had their own business. So even when I went to grad school, I just knew I wanted to be in private practice eventually. I was extremely bummed out when I found out how many hours I needed to do in order to get a license, and that would most likely have to be done in a community setting. I was like, oh, I got to work for somebody else. Okay. So my first supervisor was funny because he had the whole, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I was like, private practice. And he's like, well, what else? I'm like, private practice.
Good for you.
And, so sure enough, 5 years went by. I had started practice. It was just part-time. And I ended up leaving that job to take another job that seemed promising. It was going to be 4 days a week. So I was like, oh, I can focus on the practice and do this. And within 2 months of doing that, my practice was up to, I was seeing 15 people a week. I was like, I can't do both. So I let go of that job. But I actually went out with coworkers from my previous job and saw that supervisor. And he was like, oh, how's the new job? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I quit. He's like, what? And I was like, my practice is full. I can't do both. And he's like, you made it? I was like, I'm looking around.
Wow.
Am I getting punked? That's just rude. I was like, yes, yeah, I did it, and I'm doing it, and I'm going to keep doing it. And he was like, oh, he's like, well, I started part-time. Can I ask you questions? I was like, oh, that was a very satisfying moment. And then I made that plunge. The scariest plunge was going from, I was paneled with all these insurance companies. And then I had reached the cap. There was no way I was going to make any more money than what I was making. And I was actually making less when I did the math than what I was making when I was actually in a community setting. So I started coming off the panels, and that was the scary point, which kind of takes us right into the money mindset stuff, because that's when I started getting scared.
Yeah. Tell us about that experience for you, because a lot of people get in the false comfort zone of being on insurance panels, and they end up making a lot less. They are ready in terms of financially in their caseload to transition, but they're so afraid to let go of that oftentimes they get stuck there and won't transition full time, or it takes them longer than expected. Tell us about your experience and the fears there.
So I think a lot, what I find happens, because I have a lot of friends that are in the field and they stay on the panels, and it's because there's that lack of business mind to running your practice. We all know how to be a therapist. We don't all know how to run a business or be an entrepreneur, marketing, right? So
really
I think, it's so different. And I think what happens a lot is that we become reliant, if we're on the panel, for that to be your referral source. So I was told, when I went to go start my private practice, I went to go see a therapist, and that was pretty much our goal working together. She was like, well, the goal is you're going to have a practice by the time we're done working together. I'm like, okay. And she kind of gave me a little bit of the knowledge of you need to go out there, you need to go meet people and get your name out. Don't just rely on the insurance panel. She's like, it's a good way to start, but eventually you're going to tap out. So I already knew that was going to be a thing. So when the time came, I reminded myself that because I had already started creating relationships outside of, the insurance panels, I would have some referral sources, but I started to bulk it up more when I started to make that transition. So I started speaking at like a bariatric support group and made a really good relationship with a nutritionist that worked there. So that helped a lot. There was a couple doctors I got to know really well. I had friends that were in the field. So that's really like just setting that up for yourself and first researching how to come off the panels, because there's a lot that goes into it. I remember when I came off of one of them, I had no idea that they were going to keep me with the people I was working with from 6 months to a year. So I was like, oh, so I have to it was kind of nice. It helps create a cushion, but I was like, oh, I still need to see these people, but get new people in. I'm like, and now these people aren't going to want to leave because they know they can stay with me for this long. I'm like,
gotcha.
Okay.
Is that to reduce client abandonment or something like that in continuity care, I assume?
Yeah. And so in my mind, I had already started thinking okay, I need to start working with them on what's going to happen. You're welcome to stay, or I'll help you find somebody. And then I was like, oh, I guess we can work this out longer. So, yeah.
Gotcha. So I'm just curious at what point, what year did you start private practice?
2000 and, is it 2011? I want to say 2011. Yeah.
Gotcha. So what year did you decide to get off the insurance panels or start that process?
2013. Well, I
Gotcha.
started the process. I started it probably around somewhere in 2012. By the time it really came into fruition, it was 2013. Yeah.
And let's go ahead and take a quick break from our sponsor, and then we'll continue to dive into Tara's story.
If you're in private practice, you wear a lot of hats. And some of those hats are totally great, but some, like filing taxes and running payroll, for example, not so great. That's where Gusto comes in. They make payroll, taxes, and HR actually easy for small businesses like your private practice. Fast, simple payroll processing and benefits and expert HR support all in one place. Gusto automatically pays and files your federal, state, and local taxes so you don't have to worry about it. Plus, they make it easy for you to add on health benefits and even 401ks for you and your team. Let them wear one of your many hats. You have so many better things to do with your time. Listeners get 3 months free when they run their first payroll. Try a demo and see for yourself at gusto.com/PPS. That's gusto.com/PPS. There are so many ways to keep your practice organized, but Therapy Notes is by far the best. Their easy-to-use, secure platform lets you not only do billing, scheduling, and progress notes, but also create a client portal to share documents and request signatures. Plus, they offer amazing unlimited phone support. So when you have a question, they're there so you can get help fast. Get started with Therapy Notes today, trusted by over 60,000 professionals. Go to therapynotes.com and enter promo code PPS, as in Private Practice Startup, and you'll get 2 months for free. Also, you can listen to episode 54, where we interviewed Brad Pleiner and took an in-depth view into their EHR.
Tara, where in the continuum in terms of your timeline did you decide to join our private practice marketing coaching program?
So that definitely was when all of a sudden things started to dry up and I was like, what am I doing wrong? And it was the point where I was like, okay, I have a sales background. So I was like, I know how to be a salesperson. But I started to struggle with that idea of selling therapy. I think I started to get really conflicted in all those ethics that we get told at some point in time in school. And so
what was the conflicting part for you there?
I think it was that whole idea that missing out on understanding I'm still providing a service, but this is a health thing. And so I should be helping everybody that I can help regardless of the money aspect.
Gotcha.
And so, pretty much you could give me anything, I could sell it as long as I'm enthusiastic about it. I think I started to lose my enthusiasm about therapy because I was like, I feel stuck. And so when I felt stuck, I stopped putting the effort into meeting new people, marketing, things like that. So I was like, I need a new approach. And that's when I came across you guys. I was like, okay, let me try this and see what happens.
So it sounds like there was a huge money mindset belief of, well, I'm supposed to help, and then how can I ask for money and run a business? And it was just completely conflicting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gotcha. And how did that kind of absolve for you? Or what new belief did you create?
So I have realized now, because I say this often when people call in, I give them such a corny spiel when they call in about having a session with me, but I kind of tell them up front, I'm like, listen, I take counseling as a different view. I think this is a self-care activity. So you're going to come and you have something to work on, but the truth is that there's no harm if you want to pop in every couple months and just do a tune-up. If I'm willing to go get a manicure and a pedicure, or we call getting a massage every month self-care, why can't sitting and talking with somebody that's not going to judge and just let me talk be another self-care option? And
Cool.
So that definitely helped. I was like, okay, it's not so much like, I got to go to the doctor.
Sure. And is that sometimes like, have you created that somewhat for you? Like you need to say it and put it out there for yourself to hear it, and then also kind of quote unquote sell them on it. Sure. That's awesome. And what do they say when you say that?
There's a lot of relief in their response. It's like, oh, okay. Because it's funny, I started to realize, I'm like, my clients like working with me for a reason, because I hit a point where I look at them and I go, you're good, you could go. And they're like, yeah, no, I just like coming in and I'm like, okay, so why don't we try 6 weeks? I'm like, do you want to come in 3 months? So I'm like, all right, you find value in this. I'm not going to kick you out the door, because there's that old mindset of, well, therapy is supposed to have an end. Mm-hmm. It can have an end, or it could just be here when you need it.
Right. And then the reality is, when we really look at insurance is really looking for medical necessity. And if people are coming in because they're doing well, technically, ethically, that's not really a insurance billable service. So yeah. And I love positioning that how you have. And I really love that, because the other thing too is we wouldn't, if we're deciding to get a life coach, a business coach, we don't bat an eye thinking about, oh, can I just pay you $25 copay? Insurance, yes, it obviously helps many of us because we all have medical insurance and things like that. But at the same time, I know I've had to do my own money work around, paying for different types of services and stuff like that. Because the reality is I pay holistically for everything. I rarely go to the doctor. I have been to the chiropractor for the last 20 years, at least every other week. And everything else I do is holistic, and I pay for it. And, therapy is very much the same. It's really helping you get well. And so, yeah, we should be paid well for the service we provide, because it's transformative work. It is not switching your nail color from red to pink next week. That does look transformative sometimes, for sure, but it's hugely impactful. And I love that you share that. So for therapists who are struggling with some of that mindset belief, what do you want to tell them?
So definitely there was a couple of things that I know I kind of learned through the journey of changing my mind. And I think it was a matter of really figuring out what you provide. We all talk about the niche work. And I know that I got caught up in doing a bunch of things, like going back and getting a doctorate, which I decided not to do. But it was because I had that idea that in order to get paid a certain amount, I needed to prove that I was good enough. And that's when I really started to go, all right, clearly the people that I have that don't want to leave think I'm good enough. So what is it that, you provide? Finding that and owning it is huge. I do. I joke all the time. I'm like, I'm corny. I'm like, but I had a client the other day say to me, she's like, sometimes I feel like I'm coming here and I'm just sitting with my friend. She's like, but my friend that I don't have to hear about your stuff. I just get to talk about me.
That's so awesome.
I was like, well, then my job here is done. I was like, so I'm like, if I can give you that, awesome. Cause that's what I like to hear, is you're that comfortable. So just knowing what it is you want to provide. And then once you know what it is that you do, own it and be proud of it.
Yeah, and it is so nice to see you like a year plus later. You know, you look different. You are yourself. Like, I love it. And one of the things that Kate and I really love that you created from the course, when you, number one, we loved your website. It's in our e-course. There's samples of it there, and we talk about it.
Specialty pages are awesome.
Thank you.
But with your About Me pages, you did, I forget exactly how you called it. I wasn't sure if it was the authentic me and then the personal me and the professional me.
The exposed me.
The exposed me. Yep.
Yes. And then that was just really cool. And, you know, as you guys are listening to Tara talk, I mean, obviously she's just cool. She's relaxed. She's chill. She's casual. And really just putting that on your page and the exposed you. It's fun. It's you're sharing about you. And I just love that. And, you know, you really role model that authenticity, right? And having fun in life and in practice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, I try.
So you found us when kind of things were drying up and you needed some help and support. What things were really helpful to you throughout the course that you do now, that you implemented?
I mean, overall, it reminded me that it was okay to be me. And, you know, going to those specialty pages, learning your guys' formula helped tremendously. It also allowed me to tap back into the fact that I used to do a lot of creative writing when I was a kid. It's probably more of why I ended up in this field. But, so it made marketing fun again for me because I took it as that idea that I'm like, oh, I can like write my client's story. And I think the greatest feedback for me and hopefully for you guys is I have clients come in and they're like, oh my gosh, I read that page and I was like, that's me.
Yay!
Good.
We're proud mamas over here.
Yes, that's so awesome. And whenever I read your specialty pages or even your About Me pages and the two different versions that you have, you are such a good writer and you're able to really tap into the perspective of your client and walk through that story. And it's awesome to hear that you get that experience all the time, or that feedback from clients is so validating and exciting for us to hear.
Yeah. Thanks. And it was just, I think that was truly the biggest part is because I took that idea of marketing and I ran with it. Like it's on my Instagram post. It's, you know, on my Facebook post. It's throughout the website. I do it every time I'm doing a speaking engagement. I made little postcards to go drop around town. I went a little old school, but I put on there about like learning like selfless self-care because women are my, you know, target audience, professional women a lot. And so that's where most of us struggle is I don't have the time to take care of me. So.
And I love to hear that you were able to transform your relationship with the marketing because you got to that place where you're just stuck and things weren't working and you needed some fresh new ideas and you were able to get to that place where marketing became fun again. And I think that was such a transformative shift for you because once you were able to have fun with it again on all of these different outlets and platforms, it's just you've been in the zone and you've been able to express yourself in this authentic way. And that's where people are really connecting with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
definitely. I had to change it from I have to do it to this is like an outlet now. Cool. And I was like, okay. I was like, I can write this stuff. So like there was a good couple months there where I just kept banging out different scenarios. And I'm like, all right, well, now I've got all of these to work with. So
how has this impacted your practice in terms of marketing becoming fun again? And once you got all your specialty pages up and you had this new, fresh approach to getting the word out about your services, how did that impact your practice growth?
I look at my caseload now and I kind of laugh because I'm like, they're all your ideal client minus I see in my practice I have right now, I think I'm up to 49 or 50 cases. Wow. 2 of them are men. and I'm just like, how'd you guys sneak in? And like, I even got like a call from like an old male client's now wife, gave me the best feedback ever. Asked, can I come see you? And I did ask her, can I use this? Cause I love it. And, can I come see you? It's been a few years, blah, 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 but I really need therapy. And I was like, oh my God, I explained whatever. And she goes, I'd honestly rather find a new husband than a new therapist. We talk about you all the time. And I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
That is so funny. So how did the guys slip in?
You know, one was from when I was originally on the insurance panels. He came back. And so that was one. The other one actually was a referral from my office mate. He worked with him for a while, and he's like, I think you need a fresh perspective. You know, would you be interested in seeing Tara? And so there, it's nice and fresh. But yeah, it's great. Like, I look at it, and it's so exciting because I work with these women now that I always say, I'm like, it's not about finding yourself, it's redefining yourself. I'm like, we get this idea that we're lost. I'm like, but times change, scenarios in our world change, and who we once were may not fit where we are today. So it's really about us redefining and discovering who you are for today.
Yeah, that's awesome. So can we just kind of talk about like, so when you were on insurance panels, like how many hours were you working a week and what were you making at that time? And like, where are you today?
Mm-hmm. So it's funny because I was like, what am I going to talk about? And I just had a crazy week. Last week last week I saw 25 people, and in my head I was going insane because I was like, I haven't done this since I was on insurance panels. I would see like 24 to 28 people a week back then. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened this past week, I don't know, everybody wanted a session and I had the time. So I was like, all right, that's maybe my own poor boundaries, whole nother podcast topic. But now I typically see between 17 to 20 a week. Mm-hmm. And 18 is like my sweet spot. I know, like an average of 18 a week, I'm good. I'm better than good. Mm-hmm. Money wise, I mean, I was working, so you figure you're seeing 24 to 28, but you're putting in all those extra hours afterwards. I always say I'm the one man show. So I'm making the phone calls. I'm doing my billing. Obviously I'm doing my paperwork. Plus just anything else that comes about. And so I was probably working well over 40 hours a week. And I was taking home probably what I made when I first came out of grad school, after I did everything else. Now, as I looked at the numbers the other day, I called my accountant, who happens to be my aunt, and I was like, are you going to kill me? And she's like, why? I was like, I've made this much money so far. She's like, you better go find some more expenses, girl. I was like, okay. I was like, oh boy. So I'm about to have my biggest year yet.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm really excited. I just realized I'm about $3,000 from breaking what I made last year. And I was like, oh, there's still many weeks left. Yay.
That's awesome. And how are you gonna celebrate? Because that's really important.
Well, apparently I already celebrated because I got a new car. But
yes,
I am celebrating by giving myself the permission to live and just let myself do what I want to do. And I did that with a random trip to Paris for my birthday in February. All because my friend told me my favorite punk rock band is playing in Paris.
How cool. What a great bucket list type thing is to follow the band all the way to Paris and get in that damn mosh pit.
What band? What band? I've got to know, what band is this?
Dropkick Murphys.
Cool.
So yeah.
That'll be awesome.
Yep. And it started out with just me and my buddy, and now it's me and 5 of my friends. So I was like, okay. And they're all like, they're so proud of me because they're like, you have to always plan. You literally sat there at a party and said, hey, tickets are $400. Let's go.
Wow.
And I bought a ticket.
That's awesome.
So that freedom to kind of let myself be a little bit more spontaneous. That's probably the best gift of it all.
Nice. And had you kind of thought about that stuff during our course? Because Kate and I really talk a lot about the dream lifestyle and dream practice. And
yeah, I mean, I was aware of how much I hold myself back. And I have to say, so a few years ago, I live in Jersey, so I moved to the shore. And I am a total beach girl. And every week that goes by, I always say this was the best decision that I made. And this past year, it's funny, like people are like, oh, how you doing? I was like, I'm the happiest I've ever been because I just follow what I want. Like my girlfriends the other day, my one friend and I meet at the local coffee shop and do our paperwork together because she's a nurse practitioner in the field. And I text her, I go, hey, we're going to do paperwork. She goes, oh no, blah, 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 and I are going here to have her lunch or something. And I was like, okay. And she's like, want to come? I was like, okay. Like I could just say yes. So I was like, yeah, no, paperwork will be there. No problem. So it's just nice to have that.
You know, and I so appreciate your story because you're really like the living proof that you can have your dream practice, work with your dream clients and your dream lifestyle. And, you know, as I'm saying that, like, this is what Kate and I tell people is possible. And like, it's true, right there. You're it, right? And there's many other coaches that we've worked with that are it. But, you know, I guess it's funny. I think from our end, you know, Kate and I know what we've created in our own life. And it's kind of like when you create something in your own life, you're like, yeah, you're proud of it or whatever. But then you're like, well, I know others can have this. And on some level, you're like, I know they can have this, but I'm not so sure yet. And, you know, some of the results that people have, you know, produced in our course are just like astounding. And then really just to hear, like in the whole summary of like everything we're talking about and like what Kate and I say is possible and you just being living proof, it's just really, really cool on this other end to just know that it is truly possible and that you're experiencing that. So
the chill factor for sure.
I know I was having them before. So exciting. So Tara, what would you want someone maybe who, I don't know, either they're getting ready to start private practice or they got stuck like you did, right? Like at one time they were full with insurance and then things dried up. You know, what do you want to say to people about practice, mindset, whatever? What do you want to bestow on people?
You know, it's funny because I'll have people like friends ask me often. They're like, oh, I want to go in private practice. Can I pick your brain? And I always say yes. I'm like, absolutely. And so I think the biggest thing is that I remind them, I'm like, you just have to put the fear aside. Is that if you really want it, you're going to make it happen. And there's just a couple things that you learn to accept as you do it is, you know, the first thing, like I said, is knowing that you are good enough. You're good enough to run a private practice. The harder part is knowing exactly what you want out of it. I think that was the challenge of doing the course with you guys is when you're like, well, what's your ideal practice? I'm like, oh, other than 18 people a week, that's all I knew for a long time. I was like, just 18. I'm like, what are you going to do with the rest of your time? I have fun, apparently.
Travel to Paris.
And learn to ride out the ebb and flow of business. That's probably the key to surviving and not freaking out every moment that it's a little bit slower. You know, I've learned to really accept that. I might have preached it for years, but I never actually accepted it until probably this past year. Like I know in September it's slow. That's cool. I go on vacation then because I'm not going to make as much money in the first week of September anyways. So I might as well go enjoy myself and not have to worry about the numbers.
Awesome.
So take advantage of that. But really just, if you want it, find yourself a couple good people to talk to, and just take it all with a grain of salt because you're going to have to make it your own anyways.
Nice. And another really cool thing, and I don't remember if it was like within the course or like right after the course, one of your, I think it was an article got published through Haro. I remember you talking about that. And I know that you were talking about creating this curriculum, and I know that you have that as your giveaway. So again, another really awesome result that you've created, really transforming your relationship with marketing, getting back into the fun of all of it. And so share with our audience what the giveaway is.
So I spent many years working with people on emotional eating habits. And this is actually just a curriculum for, you know, pretty much healthcare professionals or counselors that are working with people. And you can do it individually too. I tried to make it so that it was user-friendly all around, on working to kind of peel away at some of the layers of emotional eating, because often the eating is usually a symptom of something bigger. And it's meant to give you the little bit of like a map in order to go do the bigger work. So the idea is you start to find some of the thought patterns, some of the behaviors, and challenge that. But in the course of it, if there are obviously bigger issues going on, it gives you the opportunity of knowing you need to reach out for more help. Or if you're working with a therapist, they're there for you to do it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And what's the name of the curriculum?
It's called Food, Mood, and You.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Cool. And we're going to be putting a link to that in our show notes page. And I know you said from the date that this airs, which was what, Kate? February?
It will be February 9th.
So February 9th, 2020, from the date that this airs, Tara is going to open access for the next 5 days. So the 20th through the 25th of 2020. You guys can grab that and grab the link over on the show notes page. So Tara, thanks so much for being here with us. I mean, it's nice to just like sit back and just hear where you've progressed to, how you've evolved, where you're at now, and that you're really enjoying life and have an amazing time in Paris.
Thank you. I'll think of you guys if I end up in
Yes, I want to see pictures.
Yeah, I want to see that picture. That's the picture I really want to see.
That's the band I don't go in the mosh pit because I will get destroyed.
Gotcha.
So
all right. I still want to see a mosh pit picture though.
Okay.
So Startup Nation, we really hoped you enjoyed this story of inspiration, encouragement, and success. The reason we want to bring these to you is so you know that it's possible. We really hope that you guys join us next week as we talk to Luna Medina Wolf. Luna is actually a local here. I've known Luna since she was a registered intern, and now she is a group practice owner. So we're going to be talking about her journey from solopreneur to group practice owner, the trials, the tribulations, and really how balancing it all, being a mom, a wife, and all that good stuff.
Tara, it was so great to see you again. And thanks again for coming on and sharing your story. Startup Nation, hope you guys found this to be useful and inspiring, hearing another practitioner's story and the struggles along the way, the triumphs, and all of that good stuff. And if you guys are enjoying our content, definitely subscribe, rate, and review our show. You can do so on iTunes. You can leave us a Google review. Give us a little Google love. We love the Google love, and we love hearing from you guys because we want to know that we're on track with the topics that we're talking about on our podcast, making sure that they're really meeting your needs. And if there's a topic you haven't heard yet, you want to hear, definitely let us know that too. Send us an email, and we will look forward to seeing you in our Facebook group, a place where Startup Nation hangs out.
As always, thanks for allowing us to inspire you guys from startup to mastery. Have an awesome day.
Thanks for joining us on The Private Practice Startup. Visit theprivatepracticestartup.com for awesome resources, free trainings, attorney-approved private practice paperwork, and so much more.